Cryptocurrency tends to get quite technical, and though it's not always necessary to know the details of what's going on under the hood, there are a few components that crypto holders need to understand. One of these components is the consensus algorithms, which make cryptocurrency blockchains secure, such as proof of work and proof of stake. Today, I'm going to explain the concept of consensus in plain English, tell you about the different categories of cryptocurrency consensus algorithms, which crypto projects use them, and how. Before we mine and validate, there's a disclaimer I need to state. Financial advice is great, but you won't find any in this place, mate. Entertainment and education are the only genres of content I make. Please contact a financial advisor before you make a mistake. If this is the first time you see my face, my name is Guy and crypto is my mandate. The Coin Bureau is where I craft some of the highest quality crypto content you'll ever see. Coins, tokens, news, reviews, and any other interesting topics that come to me. If this is the kind of place you want to be, subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell to become a devotee. Time is hard to come by these days, which is why I've left timestamps below that you can use to skip ahead to any subjects that draw your gaze. Just know that watching until the end will boost your brain and help this video show up on someone else's YouTube homepage. Okay, that's my prospectus. Let's crack on with cryptocurrency consensus. As most of you will hopefully know, consensus is just a fancy word for how a group of people agree on something. Now, consensus in cryptocurrency is not all that different from consensus in everyday life. Consider the following. Suppose you're hanging out with 4 of your friends in a parking lot somewhere and you're deciding whether to go to a restaurant or go to the movies. Note that there's 5 people in total here since it's you plus 4 of them. Now, a simple consensus algorithm in this case would be a majority vote. If 3 of you vote to go to the restaurant, you're going to the restaurant. All the movies suck these days anyways, right? Now, if the 2 people who voted to go to the movies were clever, they could invite 2 more of your mutual friends to the parking lot and have them vote in favor of going to the movies. Now, it's 4 versus 3, so you're going to the movies because you've had enough to eat already. Now, obviously, this isn't fair, so maybe you come up with a more elaborate consensus algorithm which requires the people present to do something extra other than just cast their vote, so that the outcome is harder to manipulate. For example, you could require everyone present to solve a complex puzzle in exchange for a vote. Now, this is analogous to proof of work, where the computers, aka miners, need to solve a complex puzzle to process transactions. Alternatively, you could require everyone present to put down some money in exchange for a vote. This is analogous to proof of stake, where the computers, aka validators, need to lock up coins or tokens to process transactions. In all 4 cases, the goal of these elaborate consensus algorithms is to make it very difficult for anyone to come in and manipulate the outcome of a vote. Now, typically, a simple consensus algorithm is sufficient when dealing with real-life scenarios, such as deciding on whether to go to the restaurant or to the movies. This is because you can trust that your friends are honest and moral people who won't manipulate the outcome. Most of the time, anyhow. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, however, the stakes are much higher than a meal or a movie, and because anyone can become a miner or a validator, you need to create extremely elaborate consensus algorithms to ensure all the computers processing transactions are being honest and moral. Broadly speaking, cryptocurrency consensus algorithms fall into one of 4 categories: proof of work, proof of stake, proof of authority, and proof of space. Now, there are multiple flavors within each of these consensus categories, and though the list I'll be giving you today is not exhaustive, it covers almost all the novel consensus algorithms used by the biggest crypto projects. The first category of crypto consensus algorithms is proof of work. Although Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency to use proof of work, the proof of work consensus algorithm itself has existed since the 1990s, and it was originally created by computer scientists Cynthia Dwork and Moni Naur to combat email spam. Bitcoin's proof of work is the most basic and follows the process I mentioned a few moments ago. Computers called miners compete to essentially guess an extremely random number. Now, this is simplifying things massively, but the full explanation gets very complex and long-winded, so let's leave it at that for now. The miner that guesses the number first gets to create a block containing BTC transactions and attach it to the Bitcoin blockchain. In exchange, they earn the BTC block reward, as well as any transaction fees within the block. The primary perk of proof of work is that it makes it extremely difficult for someone to manipulate transactions. They would either have to hack all the miners connected to the network at the same time, or have a miner powerful enough to create a chain of blocks containing bad transactions. Now, both of these attack vectors become more difficult as more miners join the network. The mining difficulty also automatically adjusts based on the amount of computing power on the network to make sure the Bitcoin blockchain remains secure as miners join or leave. Put simply, proof of work is insanely secure, but it's not perfect. The primary problem with proof of work is that it uses a lot of energy, which is why some cryptocurrency projects have created novel proof of work consensus algorithms which minimize energy usage while maintaining security. One of these crypto projects is actually Dogecoin, which uses auxiliary proof of work as its consensus algorithm. Auxiliary proof of work makes it possible to mine two proof of work cryptocurrencies at the same time without using more energy, so long as the specifics of their consensus algorithms are the same. Dogecoin and Litecoin both use the Scrypt proof of work consensus algorithm, hence why Doge can be merge mined with LTC. You can learn more about how that happened using the link in the description. Stacks is another cryptocurrency project with a novel proof of work consensus algorithm called proof of transfer. Now, proof of transfer essentially involves using BTC coins themselves as a sort of proof of work, since BTC can only be created with energy-intensive proof of work mining. In proof of transfer, miners commit their BTC to the Stacks blockchain to produce a block and earn STX coins. Meanwhile, stackers commit their STX coins to the Stacks blockchain to earn some of the BTC committed by miners. Because these BTC transfers from miners to stackers are recorded on the Bitcoin blockchain, the Stacks blockchain can anchor itself to the Bitcoin blockchain for additional security. Other novel proof-of-work consensus algorithms in cryptocurrency don't necessarily involve any computational work per se. A great example here is Helium's proof of coverage. For context, Helium is a crypto project that's trying to decentralize the infrastructure of the internet itself. It does this by providing open-source software and hardware required to create and operate hotspots, devices which transmit low-frequency radio and 5G to create truly peer-to-peer networks. In proof of coverage, Helium hotspots basically check to see if other hotspots in their area are doing the work, i.e., providing the network coverage they claim to be, since all Helium hotspots passively earn the HNT cryptocurrency. Now, you can learn more about how Helium works using the link in the top right. The second category of crypto consensus algorithm is proof of stake. Believe it or not, but proof of stake's history begins with Bitcoin, specifically a Bitcoin Talk forum post from 2011, when a user called Quantum Mechanic proposed using BTC holdings as an alternative means of earning the right to process transactions. Today, there are dozens of proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies, but what's interesting is that there aren't very many which conform to the original iteration of the proof-of-stake consensus algorithm. This original iteration is the most basic, and it consists of locking up cryptocurrency coins to become a validator that produces blocks containing transactions. In exchange, they again get a cut of block rewards and any fees from transactions within that block. The likelihood that a validator is selected to do this is often pseudo-random, meaning it's partially random and partially dependent on how much cryptocurrency that validator is staking. Now, in contrast to miners, validators don't usually need any heavy-duty hardware, since they're not engaging in any energy-intensive computations. They're just processing transactions, and that doesn't take much computing power. As such, a standard laptop is usually enough to become a validator, though many proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies push for top-of-the-line hardware to optimize performance. It's also common for proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies to punish validators that stay offline for too long or try to manipulate transactions by destroying part of the coins that validator has staked. This is called slashing, and slashing penalties range from 0 to 100%, depending on the cryptocurrency. One of the only cryptocurrencies which uses this standard proof-of-stake consensus algorithm is actually Helium. Now, Helium validators need to stake 10,000 HNT and keep it locked up for a minimum of 5 months. If you do the maths, this means it costs around $400,000 to become a Helium validator. This high barrier to entry ensures Helium's security, but also makes it difficult for new validators to join, which is why most proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies use delegated proof-of-stake consensus algorithms instead. I'll use Solana as an example here to clear up the common misconception that Solana uses proof of history as its consensus algorithm. This is false. Proof of history is just a part of Solana's delegated proof-of-stake consensus algorithm. More about Solana in the description. Now, in delegated proof-of-stake, delegators effectively lend their cryptocurrency to validators to earn a cut of staking rewards. In theory, delegators are incentivized to select high-quality validators because selecting low-quality validators means they could risk losing their cryptocurrency due to slashing. In practice, however, delegators have a tendency to delegate to validators they recognize or whichever one is at the top of the list in whatever web app or wallet they're using. This has caused security and centralization issues for many cryptocurrencies that use delegated proof-of-stake, including Solana. This is why some cryptocurrencies, such as Algorand, invented novel proof-of-stake algorithms to prevent this from happening, and Algorand's is called pure proof-of-stake. Now, in pure proof-of-stake, thousands of participant nodes, which are analogous to delegators, validate blocks containing transactions that are produced by a smaller subset of relay nodes, which are analogous to validators but don't actually validate any blocks. There is technically no minimum stake on Algorand, nor for many other delegated proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies. It's also rare to see a lockup period of more than a few days. These lower barriers to entry make it easy to participate in consensus for delegated proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies. The primary advantage of proof-of-stake is that its lightweight consensus algorithm makes it possible for proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies to process tens of thousands of transactions per second. The primary problem with proof-of-stake is that it's not nearly as secure as proof-of-work due to its pay-to-play design. It's much easier to buy the coins required to corrupt a proof-of-stake blockchain than it is to buy the computing power required to corrupt a proof-of-work blockchain. You can learn more about the pros and cons of proof-of-stake and proof-of-work by watching my video about that using the link in the top right. The third category of crypto consensus algorithms is proof of authority. Now, proof of authority was first defined by Ethereum co-founder and Polkadot founder Gavin Wood in 2017. Unlike other consensus algorithms in cryptocurrency, proof of authority does not necessarily require computing power, nor does it necessarily require money to secure a stake. Instead, proof of authority requires nodes to connect themselves to an institutional or individual identity to produce blocks on the blockchain. The rationale here is that proof of authority nodes won't act maliciously, lest their reputation be ruined in the eyes of the crypto project and/or community. Malicious proof of authority nodes could even end up in court since their identities are known to everyone. What's interesting is that proof of authority nodes don't always earn block rewards or transaction fees and are instead incentivized by their association with the crypto project, which is put on full display due to the identity requirement. Many modern cryptocurrencies began as proof of authority blockchains before they transitioned to proof of work or proof of stake. And one cryptocurrency that's currently in the middle of this transition is Ronin. Ronin is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum built specifically for Axie Infinity. And its blockchain is currently secured by nodes run by companies such as Ubisoft, Binance, and Sky Mavis, the company behind Axie Infinity. Ronin will transition from proof of authority to proof of stake once the RON token has been distributed to liquidity providers on the Katana DEX, and you can learn more about that by checking out my latest Axie Infinity update. That'll be in the description. Anyways, the primary perk of proof of authority is the same as proof of stake. Proof of authority cryptocurrencies are fast, and most of them are much faster than their proof of stake versions. This is because there are no barriers to process transactions beyond hardware, no staking, no mining. The primary problem with proof of authority is that proof of authority blockchains are almost always permissioned and centralized, because nodes must prove their identity to some centralized authority who approves or denies their application to join the blockchain and process transactions. This is why some proof of authority cryptocurrencies use novel proof of authority consensus algorithms which make it possible for permissionless third parties to provide additional security and decentralization to their blockchains. The crypto project that comes to mind here is Theta, which uses a consensus algorithm that comes close to being a kind of delegated proof of authority. Theta's blockchain is powered by 16 enterprise validator nodes run by tech giants such as Google and Sony, which must stake a minimum of 2 million Theta. Naturally, you need to be a big company to become an enterprise validator node. Theta would therefore be permissioned and centralized were it not for the fact that Theta's blockchain is secured by 3,440 Guardian nodes, which check that Theta's validator nodes are processing transactions correctly. Anyone can become a Guardian node, and the minimum stake is just 1,000 Theta. Some crypto projects such as Stellar have taken a similar approach to proof of authority. The Stellar Consensus Protocol, or SCP, features many different types of nodes which secure the blockchain, with some being permissioned and others being permissionless. You can learn more about how Stellar works by using the link in the top right. The fourth category of crypto consensus algorithm is proof of space. Proof of space was first proposed by Polish computer scientist and university professor Stefan Ziembowski in a 2013 paper. Proof of space was originally intended to be an alternative to proof of work, wherein miners would use storage space rather than computational power as a means of earning the right to produce blocks and add them to the blockchain. Now, to my knowledge, there isn't a single cryptocurrency that uses the OG version of proof of space. The one that comes closest seems to be Chia Network, which uses a spin-off of proof of storage called proof of space and time. In proof of space and time, farmers fill their unused disk space with Chia's software in a process known as seeding. This software generates a set of cryptographic numbers and organizes them into plots on the hard drive. Every so often, Chia will randomly select a farmer's hard drive to see if it contains a specific plot. If it does, the farmer gets to produce a block and earn block rewards, which are of course paid in Chia's XCH cryptocurrency. Now, the likelihood that a farmer will produce a block depends partially on how much storage they've offered up relative to the total storage on Chia. Some of you might remember that Chia mining was insanely popular last summer, so much so that it caused supply chain shortages for hard drives. This is despite the fact that Chia apparently has no clear use case. This is not the case for most of the other cryptocurrencies which use proof-of-space consensus algorithms. Most of these crypto projects provide decentralized storage services, and the adjustments they've made to the proof-of-space consensus algorithm have been impressive, to say the least. For instance, Filecoin's version of proof-of-space actually consists of two consensus algorithms: proof of replication, which proves that some piece of data has been successfully uploaded to a storage miner, and proof of spacetime, which proves that the piece of data is still being stored by that storage miner. Filecoin also incorporates proof of stake, requiring storage miners to stake an amount of FIL coins that correspond to the percentage of storage space they're providing to Filecoin. This is so that storage miners stand to lose a lot of FIL if it turns out they're not properly storing data. Arweave uses an even more advanced variation of proof of space called Succinct Proofs of Random Access, or SPORA. SPORA is designed to incentivize miners on Arweave to store as much data as possible for as long as possible. This is done by requiring miners to prove that they're still holding some piece of data related to a randomly selected previous block called the recall block when they're selected to produce a new block. If the miner isn't storing this data, it won't produce a new block, even if it was selected fair and square. The likelihood that a miner is selected to provide a block depends not only on their storage capacity, but their computing power and internet speed as well. This is to ensure that data retrieval is as seamless as possible for the end user. This recall block requirement gives Arweave's blockchain a unique architecture called a block weave, and the storage endowment ensures that the amount of AR coin block rewards being given to miners are more than enough to cover their storage costs indefinitely into the future. Arweave's purpose is to provide permanent data storage after all, and you can learn more about it using the link in the description. Now, as amazing as all these decentralized storage cryptocurrencies sound, proof-of-space consensus algorithms aren't perfect either. The primary perk of proof-of-space is that almost anyone can participate in consensus without having to put down a dime. The primary problem with proof-of-space is that storage-dependent cryptocurrencies come with centralization risks, since wealthy individuals and institutions can easily dominate the network using existing and/or newly purchased storage space. Now, if you want to learn more about other cryptocurrency categories besides decentralized storage, be sure to check out my video about that using the link in the top right. And that's just about it for today's video about cryptocurrency consensus algorithms. Now, any true crypto nerd will have their favorites, so which is yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button to let me know, and remember to subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell before you go. If you want more from the Coin Bureau, head on over to Coin Bureau Clips to get behind-the-scenes trips. You can also follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram if you feel like it, and join my Telegram channel for daily crypto updates that come packed with tips. The only thing better is my weekly newsletter, which is best read when wearing a comfy Coin Bureau tee, hoodie, or sweater. Links to my second channel, socials, newsletter, and merch store are waiting for you in the description. If you watched until the end, thank you for your decision. I can't wait to see you all again, but until then, take care, my friends. This is Guy bidding you goodbye.